Well, first of all, of course, we'd like to congratulate Kyle Rittenhouse and wish him the best of luck and thank him for upholding the ability of all of us to defend ourselves in case of attack. It is yet another defeat for the media and false media narratives, which is always a positive sign. And we need to focus on some victories. Morale is important. I know a lot of people, it's like, well, it's not a total victory or it's not a savior candidate. And it's like, we're like the alcoholic recovering from a terrible long disease or whatever condition with alcohol. You kind of got to celebrate every day. Like, I've gone 3 days without drinking, and you go, oh, yay. Like, that's not much of an achievement for the average person, but for a person that's been crushed by addiction, it's a big deal. It represents a big change in their life as they begin to reclaim their personal willpower over the power of alcohol. And so these political swings are something you want to watch because people are realizing we've been sleepwalking into a globalist utopian hellhole. And there's people waking up like never before, and they're having I don't want to use the word violent because it's not violent, but a very strong reaction to that. And this is a story that seems to have slipped through the cracks a little bit. The GOP defeats Obama-endorsed candidate in deeply blue city that Biden won handily in 2020. So endorsements from Obama, which has failed now twice with McAuliffe and this individual, and House Majority Jim Clyburn in reliably blue Columbia, South Carolina, were not enough to push the city's Democratic mayoral candidate over the finish line. Republican Daniel Rickenmann, a businessman and Columbia City Council member, defeated Democrat Tameika Isaac Devine, 52-48. Okay, a 4-point win, you might think, in a blue area. Big deal. But this is the story right here. Columbia sits in a county that Biden carried by almost 40 points in 2020. This represents a 44-point swing in sentiment. Now, this is people that voted, these blue Americans that voted for Biden knew about defund the police. They knew about the riots. They knew about the lockdowns. What's changed to get a 40-point swing? Mandates, maybe? Inflation? The Afghanistan withdrawal? CRT? Like, 40 points is an unheard of swing in politics. It simply doesn't happen. It's unbelievably massive. The city, I think, was carried by 30 points by Biden, but the county by 40. So depending how you look on this is a 34 to 44 point swing in the period of less than a year. An earthquake doesn't even begin to describe this. This is just complete and total collapse. So Obama released an audio message in support of Devine. Didn't matter. Obama carried the county by 30 points in 2008, 33 points in 2012. So it's something that was getting more and more blue. Clyburn was one of the most prominent Democrats in the South and the black community who many believe saved Biden's flailing 2020 campaign. But he still lost. And that's what we're seeing. The Democrats are losing support among every demographic, male, female, young, old, black, white, and apparently liberal. They're even losing support among their liberals. Republicans are likening Rickenmann's victory to GOP's successful push in Virginia, which elected Youngkin, who we understand is far from perfect, but is like the alcoholic. It is that step back from the brink. You get us back to a little bit more sanity. You can put pressure on them that way. Because when you're seeing swings like that, these people know that if you upset the electorate now, they're going to remember and punish you, and you can't paper over it with just television news. Celebrate the victories that we do get. So Rick Scott claimed it was part of what is coming, an upcoming red wave. Columbia, South Carolina, has been led by Dem mayors for 30 years. Joe Biden won the city by 30 points, and Barack Obama campaigned for him. But last night, a Republican Rickenmann had a big win. The red wave is coming. And I don't see how you can't say that. Biden's poll numbers continue to slump. I've seen him as low as 36, which is getting near. I wonder where his floor is. Do you know what I mean? He's got almost a 60% disapproval. And these polls are all shaded in his direction. So 2 out of 3 Americans disapprove. Probably close to only 1 out of 3 approve. These are catastrophic numbers. And it's members of the political class are taking notice. You see, Texas party switcher is the latest ominous sign for Democrats. Ryan Guillon had been a Democratic member of the Texas legislature, representing the sprawling district of San Antonio for nearly 2 decades, 20 years, and he has now jumped ship to the Republican Party, blaming Democrats for leaving him, not the other way around. And, this is the Hispanic vote that is turning Republican as well. They are losing hold of every single demographic. Highlighting the shifting political terrain in South Texas isn't just a partisan exercise. This week, they cited evidence that President Biden's immigration record and Democrats' progressive agenda is hurting them with their traditional base of voters, especially Hispanics. Ed Zoll wrote, Democrats shouldn't just panic, they should go into shock. And one of the things this guy talks about is I see it now. I'm waking up now, because I can't point to any particular issue that would be causing this change. Certainly not a 34 to 44 point change. Certainly not Democrats of 20 years switching to being Republicans. These sorts of shifts aren't normal. They're not usual. And we can only hope that there is a continuing awakening. That seems to be what it is that people waking up to the fact the news is completely corrupt. They are absolute liars. You can't trust it. You can't watch it. And as that edifice crumbles, that institution becomes completely untrustworthy, people realize we have to get change, and there's a aggressive action. Because usually it's like Coke and Pepsi, well, we're a Democrat family, we're a Republican family, and rarely do people change. But changes like this, it really threatens, particularly the planners trying to institute a new world order, globalist system. You have to have, how do you plan when you're seeing sentiment shift in percentages up there in the 40s? This isn't the 10-point swing of McAuliffe or anything. 34 to 44 point swing. You're not just looking at a scenario where it's difficult to institute your color revolution. You're looking at a scenario where any sort of globalist planning and takeover becomes completely impossible.